Welcome. In our Boss at the Helm classes and workshops, we spend a lot of time talking about different components of communication because it's such a critical part of how we interact and create relationships and how we progress at work. But communication is one of those words that covers so many different facets and ideas. Let's take a look at some of the key principles that will help you establish a mindset for communication. Today, we're going to start with barriers. I like to say that people are both the problem and the solution when it comes to barriers in communication because we prevent ourselves from receiving information depending on the barriers that we might put between us and the sender. We also impede our own progress and ability to communicate with others by creating unintentional barriers. The more self aware you are about your personality, your communication preferences, what makes you uncomfortable, and how you actually interact with others, whether you're flexible enough to change your preferred style of communication to try and reach somebody else. Those are things that are going to help you when it comes to removing barriers and creating stronger communication. So be self aware. Know what your triggers are. Consider your frame of reference, your culture, your background, your education. What do you potentially have information about that the person you're communicating with doesn't? What are the things that you do? When do you get defensive, or when does your ego come into play? When do you feel insecure and shy and step back? Or when does your pride not allow you to hear the message that somebody's trying to send? How you act, your personality has a lot to do with how you engage with others. And it can be a barrier because other people are going to bring their own frame of reference, their own barriers, and have their own preferences for communication. At the end of the day, be respectful, professional, and kind. Your character matters, both when it's easy to communicate and when we're going through tough times. The last thing I want to leave you with for today when we're talking about barriers is, what's your status? People don't like to talk about status as much. They say things like, oh, title doesn't matter. But at work, it often does. Even if you don't think that your status is getting in the way of how somebody hears or perceives your message, they might have a filter, an idea, a preconceived notion or assumption about who you are and how they engage with you. So consider your status and the status of the individual you're talking to, and do your best to remove the barriers to create trust and psychological safety so that you can communicate and engage and interact with each other. One other thing to consider when we're talking about barriers to our communication is, do you have a relationship with this individual that you're trying to connect or communicate with? If you don't have a relationship or it's not a great relationship, that can be a barrier. Go out of your way to create connections so that when it's time to communicate or when a barrier does appear, you've got the relationship that can withstand that conversation. Join us here every Friday for another mini but mighty leadership lesson. It's an easy place to learn more about awareness and leadership so you can level up. Like and subscribe to this channel. Being a boss means using your power for the good of yourself and those around you. Lead yourself, then lead others. Be a boss.